Oh my goodness, we might actually be a legitimate collab group now because we're finally playing Mario Brothers 1. What is this wild happenstance? Hey everyone, we are the LPerLeague and my goodness, we're playing a game no one's ever played before.
Never.
Never.
Not a single
What is
person
this
has
game?
ever played Super Mario Brothers on the Nintendo Entertainment System. Nobody.
Hey, who dies on World 1-1?
Whoever's doing the demo stuff, but I'm not playing the NES version. Why would I play the NES
Thank
version
God.
when All Stars exists? Honestly, I have a guilty pleasure of loving playing remakes, especially when they feel like they are an improvement overall, and I do kind of feel that's why the advanced versions feel that like the genuine article of the classic Mario games. But by the same token,
Oh, Mamma Mia!
I don't like All Stars as my go-to either.
Yeah.
Because Super Mario Brothers Deluxe exists.
Oh good, now I don't have to wear my glasses anymore because this
Hey.
game is very zoomed in.
Want to listen to
So
some
I can
tunes?
ditch 'em.
Platoon? Yeah!
Also, the menu music is amazing. Alright. Get out of here. So yes, I decided we were probably well overdue for Mario 1, and I wanted to do Mario Brothers Deluxe because I genuinely feel, in spite of the fact of, you know, viewport on the game, all of that nonsense, and All-Stars existing, it does feel like the closest thing to a All-Stars slash Advance re-release of Mario 1, and I guess, like, Super Mario Brothers Color. It feels like it is the best way of playing this game, aside from 35 when we could play 35.
Only
Yeah,
bad
rest in
thing I
peace,
can
died
really
way
say
too
is-
soon. Only had like 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nintendo seems to do that a lot.
Yeah, modern day Nintendo really loves limited running. Should probably
Mm.
partner with a certain limited run company if they want to do that kind of crap.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, I figured it would be fun to go through Mario 1 on Mario Brothers Deluxe, and at least try and show off as much of the game as I know, and as a handful of the secrets that I know of that not many people know of here and there, mostly just hidden mushrooms and stuff. Also, trying to get fireworks as consistently as possible, and Mario Brothers Deluxe has a lot of stuff that make it very replayable, like being able to change into Luigi on the fly, like in Mario 3 and World, which is fun.
And save!
Yeah, a proper
save
save
system.
system too.
Proper save system. Also, Luigi being the correct colors now.
Yeah, exactly. Like, Luigi's color scheme was not correct in the NES game.
Mm.
And that happened a lot in Mario games for a bit. I mean, that was also an issue in Mario World, too. His sprite was just Mario's sprite, which was wrong.
Which, thankfully, they fixed for the expanded All-Stars release. No, did they fix it for the
Yeah,
All-Stars
the
release? or
Super
did
Mario
they...
All-Stars that included Mario World had the fixed sprite, but that's the version we never re-released, so unfortunately, you have to get the cart if you want to play it originally like that on the Super Nintendo version, or the GBA port.
They did add the improved sprites into the advanced port as well, I'm pretty sure. Granted, I might...
Yeah, no, they did.
Yeah, no, they did, okay. I could... Mario World has a weird porting history, so sometimes I forget. Also, the other fun...
Yeah,
You go, Matt.
yeah, it's called Mario, it's just called Mario Advance F1.
One was Mario...
Yeah,
Mario
the Mario
Advance-
Advance naming schemes are really confusing, so when you try to look them chronologically, there is no chronological.
I'm trying to remember, like, which numbers were what. I think 4 was 3.
Yeah, 1 was Mario 2, 2 was Mario World, 3 was Yoshi's Island, 4 was Mario 3.
That's
I know, because I've got all of them on the shelf.
Yeah,
That's
so
so
it
hard to
went
remember.
2, 4, 5, 3, which was a really weird order when you look at the original releases.
Mm. Also, I do like the fact that we get this little overworld map between stages. It is fun.
It really kind of expands on the whole world building of Mario 1. I know, like, Mario 1 doesn't really need world building because it's literally a 85 game.
Hey, do we really need to explain controls for Sonic the Hedgehog? Really?
But, you know, it's just like, this is a nice little touch that, you know, like you said before, makes it feel like a remake is has more to the original. Adds more to the original.
Yeah, because the thing is with these games, it's like this version's probably the most complete of the original Super Mario Brothers.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, it's definitely like the one that has quirks you gotta get past. Like, if you're not a fan of screen crunch, stay far away, because that is the thing here, screen crunch. But if you want a more complete experience, and you get past that, I always hear people like praise this version of the game.
Absolutely. Also, we have moving waves of lava, even in 8-bit.
Yeah, they didn't even have this as a graphic in the original NES game.
Fun fact, I don't even think they did that for Mario 35 either.
Yeah, because it was more based on the original game, like
Yeah.
graphical design. It's like, oh, we'll make it more like an NES game, including the shortcomings.
We get the All-Stars glow up in terms of, you know, improving the art style without drastically changing it, but it's still in the 8-bit, which makes it feel like, I guess, a Mario Advance Zero in some ways. Which is very
I was
fun.
a Goomba all along?
Yeah.
Oh, also
Yeah,
Toad
Goomba
has
Bowser
animation
suit.
sprites, which is kind of wild.
Yeah,
my
it doesn't even
gosh.
do this jumping thing in the All-Stars release.
He emotes.
He does indeed.
I really do like this world thing.
In addition, and this is kind of wild to think about, technically Mario DX also has achievements, which I'll get into a little bit later, which is like incentive for you to replay levels to find secrets and do certain things while completing the game. So there is incentive to play the game in a certain way, like hit a bunch of Goombas with the same turtle shell, find a beanstalk somewhere, beat Bowser only using a fire flower, all of that nonsense. So there is, even built into the game without knowing all of the nooks and crannies, there is incentive to explore and replay a lot, which is fun, and I do love that about it. Which is part of the reason why in this first playthrough I'm actively not using the warp zones, because I figure going through all the worlds would be nice.
Yeah, warp zones are a little too busted at times, because you can beat this game in like 20 minutes if you know what you're doing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm pretty sure, if I'm remembering correctly, I do all of Extra Mode in Part 4. That is just all Extra Mode.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah, because that's another thing with this collection specifically. It's a collection. You're not just playing through the first Super Mario Brothers. It actually has all the Lost Levels content too.
It does indeed. And technically that means...
I didn't know I had that.
It technically means that in the same way that the advanced games have at least 2 games on them, because they've got classic Mario Brothers and then an All-Stars-esque style one of the other games, it then has Mario Brothers, but this has Mario 1 and, by extension, Lost Levels, which is pretty neat. Also has a multiplayer that was played at the Mario World Championships in it's either 15 or 16, I can't quite
Yeah,
remember.
it's
one of
such
the
like...
two.
I think it was the most random pick they had that year when it came to like what games we can pull out and actually get set up. Because that's the only game they had during that championships they had to pull out retro hardware for.
Yeah.
Which you could tell that they were playing on a Game Boy player for that reason. Because they had some problems getting it set up.
Moving waves at the top as well, which is nice. I do love this.
Get away, Blooper.
You ever played this version, Matthew?
No, I want to play it. I think...
We have it.
Oh, we haven't?
I had it as a kid as well.
Oh,
Nice.
okay. Alright, cool.
That's good,
So
because this game has never been re-released. You can only play on the original cartridge, from what I understand.
Well, the original cartridge, of course, but also I think it was on the 5th anniversary of the 3DS, anyone who used the eShop, I think, had the option to download it for free for a month. So I do have a copy of it on the on my 3DS because they made it free for a period of time, which is nice. But I think the only other time it's been re-released was, I think, on the Wii U Virtual Console, and that's it.
Yeah, that's so weird.
And then just watch, as we upload this, they'll add it onto Switch Online, and I'll just have my bubble bursted, so thanks, Nintendo.
Yeah, okay, yeah, this was a virtual console thing specifically for 3DS. It was promotion, and then it looks like it just was sold at one point.
Yeah.
But the gap between some of the territories, like, South Korea got this game 2 years after everyone else, which was a usual Nintendo move.
Oh, it's wild. Also, really good thing that they do here, which they took note of from All-Stars, I think, or possibly even All-Stars didn't do this. Every time a fish launches, it actually makes a noise.
Yeah, All-Stars didn't have anything like that.
In the original, the Cheep Cheeps launching was silent. In All-Stars, it may have been silent, it may not have been, but I know for a fact Deluxe and possibly 35 did it. But I think it may have only been Deluxe, actually. Which actually means that level is so much more manageable, because I hate it.
Like, the thing is... Yeah, that's one of the harder levels in the game, honestly. In any levels, you can deal with Cheep Cheeps. But, no, like, when you compare, like, the 3 different versions of Mario 1 here, like the original NES game, All-Stars, and then this specific Game Boy Color version, Mario All-Stars is considered probably, like, the glitchiest one when it comes to just trying to play it casually. And it didn't change too much besides graphics, but man, the physics in the hitboxes got jank.
I was gonna say...
You can literally jump through platforms, which is buggy.
The All-Stars version, for as pretty as it is, the physics feel a bit off. But it's only enough to notice if you play it alongside other versions. Like, it's kind of like when you play Wily Wars, you can tell that Mega Man shoots a bit slower, but if you're playing it at the right frame rate, otherwise, Wily Wars is the definitive way to play. So I feel kind of the same way with All-Stars for Mario 1, but I still default to this every time. Every time.
I'm gonna have to play this version someday.
It's really fun.
Can highly recommend it.
Do you really like it, Amber?
Like, I'm trying to think, like, the things that All-Stars has going for it, I understand why people gravitate towards that. Like, it also set the standard for making Mario 1 have the underwater music as its title theme, which, like, became a recurring thing throughout the franchise, even in Mario 3. And by extension, the menu for every one of the advanced titles, even Yoshi's Island, has a remix of the underwater music as its title theme, but like a lullaby, like a music box. But technically, Deluxe does that as well with some of its sub-menus. I think, from memory, the Lost Levels sub-menu has a remix of the underwater music as well. Now, whether that came out before All-Stars, I don't know, so this might have been the first game to do that.
Are you Hammer Bros? Get out of here.
This game, because this was 1999, and All-Stars was, like, way before that.
Yeah.
Cool, I didn't realize that the Lost Levels were put on this, so technically...
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I know All-Stars had Lost Levels in it too, but...
Yeah.
Technically,
that was how we first got it here in the States.
Yeah.
So this was another way that somebody could play to real Mario 2.
Yeah.
It's also the only way anyone who had a Game Boy Advance, who had like the other advanced titles, if you didn't have a Super Nintendo or an NES and some like region-free cartridges, this would be the only way to play All-Stars until... Oh, sorry, not All-Stars, Lost Levels, until basically the Virtual Console came along.
Yeah, exactly, because we released the original Super Mario Brothers as one of the NES games on Game Boy Advance, and then all the Advance games cover the rest of them. But then Lost Levels is the one they just skip for GBA.
And I'll admit, there's a part of me that wishes...
Which, to be fair, if they released it as an NES classic game on that system, you probably wouldn't have wanted to play it on the GBA, because the NES games on GBA were more problematic than just like porting the game as like an advanced thing, or just playing the Game Boy Color version.
With the Famicom Classics that they did in Japan, which were the equivalent, which had like mini versions of the NES cartridges as boxes, they did have a Lost Levels release for Game Boy Advance as well, because, you know, why not? Which, you know, is a collection item, kind of neat, but no one on this side of the ocean was interested in that.
Yeah. It's honestly, it's like, you look back at like them trying to release these games as like proper NES titles on the Game Boy Advance, like Super Mario Bros. Like the one a lot of people go to when we compare the argument because it's one of the more commons. They really got messed up using the Game Boy Advance like resolution and just aspect ratio for an NES game. It doesn't look good. You really gotta look at that tiny screen. Do not play on your Game Boy player, because it look ugly.
It fared a lot better for Zelda 1, because Zelda 1 actually suffered less from the screen. Like, you could tell it was still squanched, but
Yeah.
compared to how it looked on Mario 1, it fared a lot better. I will say, though, as probably a thing people have noticed, is the color correction that is on the Game Boy Color and Game Boy Advance releases, and by extension, some of the Virtual Console ports that takes the saturation, like the decreased saturation out of NES ports. I actually do prefer that being put brighter like this. I tried playing Zelda 1 again through Switch Online, and I'm like, feels muddy to look at. Like, I genuinely prefer it being a bit brighter.
Yeah, I think these colors are more... Like, I think these are more in line with, like, the Play 13, like, the arcade console they have for a lot of the NES games. Because that thing was more bright and vivid for a lot of NES titles.
Yeah, and any time that there was a re-release on something that wasn't NES or Virtual Console, so like, for example, when they would package old Zelda titles together on GameCube collections, this was the kind of color saturation they go for. And I, like, both for Mario and for Zelda, I do prefer these colors. It just pops.
Yeah, it looks a lot better.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, it was a Play Choice 10. I was trying to remember exactly what the system is called. That was a lot more vivid, and yeah, you can see it works for this kind of a game.
Yeah, that it does.